All right, good morning, California. Good afternoon, everywhere else. This is the Nolte AutoCAD 2009 upgrade training session. This is part one of a two-part series. My name's David Zavislin, and I will be your guide today through all the new features of AutoCAD 2009 and the Nolte, what we're calling the V7 CAD image. Try not to bury you too much with PowerPoints here, but actually let me start off. I'm going to ask a couple of questions here to get a feel for who my audience is. So what I'll do is I'll launch this poll, and what I need you to do is pick the appropriate response here on your screen. Just kind of get an idea how often you all use CAD here. Do I have full-time CAD users or managers that just use it when something is plotted? And as soon as I get almost everybody responding here, I'll go ahead and close the poll and then share the results with you. All right, it's not this tough, folks. Come on, answer your questions. All right, we'll consider that's about everybody here, so I'll close the poll and show you the results. So it looks like we got quite a few of you who are all-day users here, 83%. That's a good number, so good CAD usage in here. So let me move along, and I got one more question I want to ask. If I can find it here. There we go. Let's launch this poll. And I'd like to find out who has the 2009 products already installed on their computer and are attending this session so they can learn about what they've got. And also I want to see who is eagerly anticipating the upgrade and is attending to find out what is in store for them. All right, we'll go ahead and close that poll now and share the results. So about a third of you have not had it installed yet, and 2/3 of you have upgraded. Hopefully after today you guys will start using some more of the 2009 products once you see what some of the new tools are here. All right, so it kind of gives me an idea of where we're at and what the experience level of our audience is here. And what I'll do now is let me jump over to my PowerPoint here. All right, for the training, a couple of things we're going to look at today. I'm going to start off with just a real brief overview showing where you can get some additional information and help and kind of find out what we've done on this new image that we're calling the Nolte V7 CAD workstation. Spend a little bit of time talking about the Catapult application, and then the bulk of the presentation will be spent covering some of the new features of AutoCAD 2009. Next week's session will be purely new features of AutoCAD 2009, all the items that I am not able to get to in this first hour here. All right, so our overview, let me bring this up. Handouts for this session, I'm trying to be sustainable and not print anything, so let me jump over to Internet Explorer here and show you how to get to the handouts for this class. And hopefully everybody has the CAD news panel on their My Nolte homepage. And a couple of places you can get to the handouts. There's a session here talking about the upgrade training being postponed. You can click in this link to go to directly to the manual. But I'm going to take you to the CAD support page first. And then we'll show on the CAD support page there should be a CAD Workstation 2007 upgrade link, and that is the training materials for this handout. This is also searchable, so you can get to this document by searching through or typing in search questions in the CAD support page. All right, so let's start off with the overview here. I grabbed the wrong year, didn't I? Let me try this again. I want 2009 upgrade. My apology. Yeah, it looked a little dated here. Here we go, 2009 overview. This looks better. All right. In terms of installed Autodesk or AutoCAD applications, we've installed both the 2009 and the 2007 versions of Land Desktop and Civil 3D. This table here shows the default third-party applications that we've installed with the corresponding versions of AutoCAD. And you'll see, for example, here, the bulk of our Hasted for SewerCAD, StormCAD, and WaterCAD are installed on what they are calling the Civil 3D Land Desktop Companion, which is just a big long name for Land Desktop 2009, but that's the way it appears in all the program naming and literature, so that's what you're going to see. Most of these applications we could not install on both 2007 and 2009. With the anticipation of moving forward, we have then migrated everything up to 2009 where available. So all these profiles are available in the different products. Plus there's a few more little one-off apps that only 1 or 2 people use in the company, and most of those we are migrating forward to the 2009 products as well. All of the Bentley applications have been upgraded, and Bentley is now on a release called the V8i. For both the Hasted products and MicroStation and Inroads. Then we have all the basic CAD design tools that we've had in the past. The Esri products, we're up to 9.3 of the ArcGIS or ArcMap software. And then depending on what group or department you're in, we have all the different applications for structures, survey, and water. So you can kind of get to all of that and see what we've put on the workstation as a default. Anything else that is unique to your office or your personal application, you'll have to work with your PC analyst to get that installed. All right, let me kind of work my way down here. I'm not going to read this for you. I will show you quite a bit of information on here. But one thing I want to point out is in the handouts you'll see these little play buttons here where if you click on that, it'll actually bring up and you can watch a video, and it'll go through and show you how to do these operations. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I'm hearing myself in my head and it gets a little confusing. So you can watch the videos. To return back to the document, you just right-click, hit back, and it'll take you back to where you were in the original document. So I've tried to include those almost everywhere. Some of them are going to be dead links because I haven't gotten them all done yet. But as we come through, we'll see a lot of them I have the links. This handout also is going to have a lot more information than what I'm going to be able to show you in today's session and also next week's session. I've got more material than I can cover in 2 hours, so I'm trying to hit kind of the highlights today and next week, and then it'll be kind of up to yourself to kind of go through here and figure out what it is you'd like to learn about. Also, there is the new features workshop directly inside of AutoCAD that will also show you a lot of this material so you can see what's new. All right, so that's the handout. Just kind of wanted to point that out to you, make you aware of where that was. And let me come back into my PowerPoint. All right, so we talked about the image is going to have both the Land Desktop and Civil 3D 2007 products as well as the 2009 products. And what that'll allow you to do is you can continue working on existing projects in the 2007 programs until everybody working on that design team our project team has been upgraded to the new image. At that point, you can start working in 2009. All right, we saw Bentley is now on what's called the V8i products. Esri's on 9.3. The schedule for this is we are currently rolling these out company-wide. Right now, we are probably about 40% deployed, and the goal is to have this completely deployed within the next 2 months. So we're kind of working with the analyst and CAD coordinators, putting together the individual schedules for each office as to how they're doing that. All right, so let me go to the next one here. So let's start off, let's talk about the Catapult application. How if I bring up my screen here so you can see Catapult is a program that we wrote here in Nolte to replace CAD Launcher because CAD Masters is no longer providing or maintaining the CAD Launcher application. Turns out Nolte was the only company that ever purchased it. So we thought, well, we'll take it and update it and make it fit the way that we work, specifically to address our project directory structure and our needs. Main design functionality for CAD Launcher was to select AutoCAD version and profile, so you can pick which version and which profile, and then it also manages the project location parameters for both Land Desktop and Civil 3D, and that's basically for LAN desktop, controlling where LAN desktop is going to look for the soft disk folder within each job. There's similar functionality now within Civil 3D. Okay, we've also added a discussion group in the CAD forum where you can type in any feedback or comments or wish list items for the Catapult application. Let me go ahead and show you where that is real quick. So I've got a link here to the CAD forum page, and in the CAD forum, once that comes up, there are these different discussion groups, and I've added one in for Catapult here. So let me go ahead and click on that. And right now nobody's commented on it yet, but hopefully as we progress we'll get some more feedback from all the users. We've also created discussion groups while I'm here for Civil 3D, which we've had quite a bit of users starting to post comments and questions. And the idea behind these is they allow you as the CAD users at Nolte to interact with each other and provide feedback to each other in addition to just whatever I post myself on the CAD support page. So I do encourage you at some point to come to the CAD forum and see what we've got here, some of the links and other discussions that are going on, and really encourage you guys to start looking at this, to use this as a tool to get better at CAD. Excuse me, sorry about that. All right, so that's the discussion forums. All right, for AutoCAD 2009, what we'll look at today is I will try to make it through to file compatibility, talk a little bit about the 2009 versus 2007 and what the heck I'm there right now. Let's talk about that. Drawing files, AutoCAD 2009 and 2007 use identical drawing file formats, so I can take a drawing between both versions without having to do any conversion. The problems you're going to run into is the Civil 3D and LAN desktop objects. In terms of LAN desktop, that's going to be things like contours and points. They are not backwards compatible, so you will get either proxy graphics or occasionally an error trying to open a Civil 3D or LAN desktop object in the previous version. So you really need to watch that. Hopefully nobody's using Civil 3D 2007, or it's very limited, that when you do start using Civil 3D, I do encourage you to do that all in 2009. So you do need to kind of watch some of the object compatibility, but the files themselves are compatible. The LAN desktop project is identical for both versions, so if you define alignments, profiles, and surfaces in one version, they are readily available in the other version without having to do any kind of conversion. So all of the project database for LAN desktop is compatible. All right. I will take some time today giving you a little preview of the interface, and then some of the commands we'll look at today will be a command called Quick Properties. We'll look at some of the new layers functionality, including the layer manager and some of the other tools associated with layers. We'll take a quick look at XREF clipping and then some of the 3D viewing tools. For next week's session, part 2, we'll continue on. If I can't get 3D viewing today, we'll start with that next week. We'll look at a functionality called the Action Recorder, which lets you create your own macros and play them back rather easily. We'll look at the annotative text and dimension functionality. We'll look at some of the new options for mText, new options for dimensions, some new options for tables. We'll also then look at what's called a multi-line block attribute. And if I can get that all done within an hour, we'll also look at the new PDF extension, which is only available in Civil 3D 2009. And it has a driver that allows you to create a much higher resolution but lower file size or smaller file size PDF file. Plus it also has tools where I can do what's called a PDF underlay, which is kind of like an XREF of a PDF file. So it actually allows you to view a PDF right inside of AutoCAD, which is pretty exciting stuff. All right. So moving along, I'm going to start off now. We're going to take a look at the Catapult application. And bear with me, I am putting these little intro slides in on all my sessions. I'm going to go back later and we're going to try to put bookmarks into the presentation here. So let me back out of this and close down some of this. All right, Catapult. icon on your desktop is going to be a multi-active O with a little arrow shooting up through it, indicating launching or flinging something into the air. So I'm going to double click on that and bring up my Catapult window. We've designed Catapult to be very similar in functionality to CAD Launcher, but we've added in some behavior that we like from other applications. And for example, the main thing we modified was our project list area. Is we've set this up the way the Esri Arc catalog manages projects, and instead of showing you the entire end drive, it will only show you projects that you have added. And the reason we did this is CAD Launcher would only show you all projects, our last 5, and we have a lot of users, especially in the survey field, that want to see or work on 10 or 20 projects at any given time. So CAD Launcher was kind of limited. So Catapult we've set up to allow you to add your own projects. And the way you do that, there's 2 ways to add a project. You can either click on this little plus button up here to add a folder, or I can come down in my project list here, right mouse click, and there's an option here to also add a folder. All right, so it'll take you want to go to your end drive, and I'll scroll down and grab one of my training projects that I don't already have, so we'll grab that one there. You can either pick the root of the project, so let me go ahead and pick that, and we'll see it'll add the root in. So then when I expand it, I can expand it either by clicking on the arrow or by double clicking on a folder. So if I double click on the CAD folder, it will then show me the contents of that folder. To improve performance of Catapult, we don't query folders until you actually click on it. So I don't know if these folders have subdirectories until I actually click on it, and then it'll show me the drawings and contents of that folder. And because I'm not getting a plus sign over here, I know there's no additional directories in this location. Some of my other projects I've already added, I went directly to the CAD folder, and what's nice about that is as I expand it now, I don't have to go browsing through my entire directory structure. I'm directly within the CAD folder. The only comment or suggestion I make on this is that you don't create multiple project links to the same project. Don't have one link going to the CAD folder, don't have one going to hopefully nobody's using the receivable folder or whatever, but you really either want to go to the project root or to the CAD folder. And I really encourage you to use the CAD folder to stress that all drawing files get saved in that location. All right, so that's how you add a project. To remove a project, say I no longer want to work on this job, I can just, let me pick on it, I can right-click on it and either hit the Remove Job Folder command, or with it selected, I can click on the red X here, and that will remove a job folder. All right, so real nice way to allow you to add your projects and remove them. All right, to get down into this now, so let me come in here and expand some of my branches here. So I'm going to be working in the master folder here. All right, up at the top, I need to tell it which version, and here's that big long name that they're now calling Land Desktop. So we can either go Land Desktop, and there's all the different profiles we have for Land Desktop. And I can go also Civil 3D, and there's the few profiles that we've made available for the Civil 3D application. All right, and I do encourage you to stick with and use our standard profiles because it makes it a lot easier for us to update and also fix any problems that you may have with your computer. All right, so I'm going to do most of my presentation today. I'm going to go ahead and use the Civil 3D profile within Civil 3D. Most of my drawings have Civil 3D objects, but I'm not going to show you any Civil 3D commands today. So we're going to kind of just stick mainly with what's new in AutoCAD. All right, so in our drawing window now, this is real nice. The default is it'll sort alphabetic by name, but I can quickly click on the modified header here and change my sort order to show me by date modified, and if I click it again, it'll reverse the order, showing me my most recent drawings. So you can see I was in this PRPN file, was the last one I modified. You also see that the Catapult has a much larger preview window. There are options or a variable in AutoCAD where I can tell it to increase the resolution of the bitmap image. So you can see with some of my older images, this bitmap is a little grainy, but we can change that setting as well to improve that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do it by name so that way I can scroll down and find the file that I want to open. And we'll start with that one. So with your file selected, you can click the Open button. Unfortunately, at this time, Catapult will not let you select and open multiple drawings. So I just need to select the first one and open it, and then once I'm inside of my AutoCAD, as long as it's not a land desktop, I can then go ahead and open additional drawing files. In terms of setting our projects up for Sofdesk or Land Desktop and Civil 3D, we are setting some project routes here, so it does require you to close your Land Desktop or Civil 3D down, coming back to Catapult to switch to another project, and that way we make sure you're getting your Sofdesk or Land Desktop projects from this folder, and that Civil 3D is locating its data in this folder. And I do need to stress that the Civil 3D folder on a job is not for Civil 3D drawings. We're still storing all the drawing files in the CAD folder. This is only for the Civil 3D data files that it creates. All right, so let me go ahead and open up a drawing. All right, the first time you launch any of the AutoCAD 2009 products, it will take a little bit longer to open it up on your computer, just because AutoCAD and Civil 3D and Land Desktop are so much larger now that does take a bit longer. Subsequent launches during that day prior to shutting your computer down or rebooting will fire up much quicker. And hopefully you'll see that, boy, a lot of these elements I recognize, and this looks very similar to what I'm used to. I kind of want to finish up here with Catapult, though, and talk about that when we do File Open, we'll see now that I get my AutoCAD File Open dialog, and I no longer get a launcher tool within the AutoCAD application. So we're only using Catapult to open and initialize our AutoCAD environment with the very first file. Once you're in, we are now using the default. Okay, same thing if I go to make a new. We'll go ahead and do it off the button here. Oops, I want new. So we do the new command. Oops, I did Q new. Let me try just new. There we go. And you'll get your template dialog. You select your template, and then you'll need to do a save as to create a new drawing. Okay, so again, Catapult is only being used to initialize the environment and bring up that first document. All right, let me go at it again here. So back in Catapult, I want to show you a couple of things in terms of Land Desktop. So I'm going to use Land Desktop Companion, and I'm going to use my LDT 2009 profile. And we're going to come in here, and I'm going to grab my PRPN drawing here. All right, again, just verifying that I'm in the right job, right Sofdesk folder. I'm going to open the drawing. You no longer associate drawings with Sofdesk projects like we did with CAD Launcher. What we're going to do is we're going to rely on Land Desktop's functionality. So when you open a drawing that's not associated with a project, Land Desktop should ask you and say, hey, this drawing's not associated with a project. What do you want to do here? Okay, so we'll wait a sec while we're loading up. All right, so it didn't do that because this drawing's already been associated, so I can see it is linked to the project in my job number. But what you would get is, if we did the reassociate, you would get this dialog here that you would then, again, verify you're in the right path, and then from that path you should be able to select the corresponding project for your Land Desktop data. So we've just taken all of this functionality. Instead of putting it into a CAD launcher, we took it out of it and left this up to using Land Desktop. All right. I do want to point out now we do have different new and open dialogues in Land Desktop. We're using what's called the project-based open dialog, and the reason I want to point this out is the initial time you use this on projects or existing projects, more than likely it's going to be looking for drawing files in your Sofdesk project name DWG folder. What we want to do is we need to remap those back to the CAD folder. And the way you do that is you click on this Project Details button here, and it'll bring up our project details dialog, and down at the bottom we change it to a fixed path, and then I'll click on the browse button, and I want to browse up in my tree structure here, and I want to select the CAD folder. I'll pick OK to that, and then pick OK. From that point on now, this project, anyone using this project will automatically be mapped to the CAD folder here for the new and open dialogues for Land Desktop. So you only have to do it once. All right, so now I can see, well, there's no drawings in my CAD folder, but I can pop it down and go to my master folder, and there's all my drawings in my master folder. So I can now select and say, well, I want to go to my existing utilities, open that one. Sure, we'll go ahead and save changes. Land Desktop. All right, so this one says it couldn't find it. Do I want to associate it? So here's, all right, there we go. So I got my project set up now. And let's do that one more time. The other thing we can do is, if your job is small enough, you don't have hundreds or thousands of drawings, we can select the CAD folder, and I can come down here and say show subfolders, and it will now show me every drawing in every folder under our CAD directory. And you'll see it's sorted by working folder master, and then all the different subdirectories that I had. So I can go back into that PRPN drawing, and I won't save changes to that, and I can use that to get back and forth. So once you've got that drawing path set correctly, we'll see that that is applied every time I come in to the project-based new and open. And again, the handout online for Catapult does go into a little bit more detail on using those two functions. Last thing I'll show on Catapult, and then we'll jump over into the AutoCAD stuff, is this Recent Drawing tab. This shows you files that you've recently opened with Catapult. It does not show you files that you opened while you were in AutoCAD or Land Desktop. It only shows you what we used to launch. We've also broke this out by version. So if I go to my Land Desktop 2007, you'll see I have a different list of drawings. And the reason we did this is, while we're going through the transition, it'll hopefully keep you from opening a drawing in 2007 that you were working on in 2009. So if I go back into my Land Desktop 2009, we'll see here's all the different files I was working on there. If I go to Civil 3D 2009, you see I get a different set of files. All right. This is also sortable, so I can sort it by date modified, I can do it by name, I can do it by folder. Size, unfortunately, when we sort by size, it's an alphabetic sorting, so you can see that 558 is between 3,700 and 6,000, just because it's sorting alphabetically as opposed to numerically. At some point, we hope that's something that we can take care of and fix. All right. Hopefully there's no questions on this. Again, as you come across functionality on here, let us know. All right, so let me come back now. I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint for a sec. All right, and the next item I want to talk about is the AutoCAD interface. Let me jump back into our Catapult application. And we're going to come into my project here, and again, I'm working under Civil 3D and the Civil 3D profile, and I'm going to open up my planimetric drawing. All right, so I got that one open, and I'm going to open one more here. There it is. Didn't scroll all the way down. All right, I just want to have a couple drawings open. All right. All right, the top of the handout for the AutoCAD interface has a little map showing all the different components. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the upper left corner and then kind of work my way around the screen here. So a couple things you're going to see is you get this item here. It's called the menu browser. and we'll start with that. We'll work our way across to our info center. We'll talk about the ribbon bar, and then we'll also talk about the different functionality here on the status bar down at the bottom. All right, so the menu browser, what this tool is it's a potential replacement for the file pull-down menus. So what I'll do is I click on this, it'll actually show me all of my different file menus here, or my different pull-down menus, and you'll see as I hover on the menu, it will change what you see over here on the right side. Okay, so maybe I'll come in down to alignments, and then I can come into alignment labels. As I click on that, it will then expand and show me the flyout. Okay, very similar to if I came in here and popped down my alignment menu and did alignment labels. So it's the exact same thing. I can actually turn off my menu bar here. So I'm going to right-click on what's called the quick toolbar. I can say turn off the menu bar, and I can still get to all of those menus through this location. Okay, well, I'm not sure I like that. I kind of like my menu bar, so I'm going to shut down AutoCAD and try that again. I'm going to turn my menus back on. All right. What I like about this is, say I'm new to Civil 3D here that I'm in, and I'm looking for a particular command, I can actually search my menus. So maybe I want to do earthwork quantities, I want to do volume. So I'm going to start typing in volume. And what you'll see is as I type in that word, it will show me all of the menu items that contain the word volume. So I see I got volumes for surfaces, I got volume for grading, I can do volumes on my sections, and then there's also some annotation tools here for volumes, and it takes me right to that command. Okay, if I pick on the X button here, it clears that, and I'm back now just to my regular menu display. All right, maybe I want to do something else. I want to look for layer functionality here. So I can see, well, I've got some layer commands and end tools and standards manager, but then also found related commands. And what these are commands where the word layer was not in the command name, but it was in the command tooltip. So if we hover on the purge, we'll see that the purge has the ability to remove block and layer, or unused layers from the drawing. So you can see all of these will have the word layer in the command itself or in the help item or the tooltip. All right, so those are all of the different functionality to be able to either click on a menu or use the search tools. Other things the menu browser is going to have is it shows me recent documents. So these are all the files I've opened recently. It shows me currently my open documents, and I can click on those and switch back and forth. And it helps if I pick one that I'm not in. Okay, so I can use that to switch back and forth. And then I can also change, or if I hover on here, let me hover for a sec. So I hover on the PRP and I get a real nice thumbnail. If I hover on the quick view, I will get some data and the thumbnail for that one also. I can click on this item up here and I can change to actually show the thumbnail as an icon. And I can also go to a larger one. And this is applied to both my open and my recent. So if I go over to recent documents here, you see I now get the large. And then I go to open, and I get the large thumbnails as well. Okay, that takes up a bit of room on my screen, so I'm going to change that back to medium images. Other things you're going to see on these toolbars is you do get a little push pin here. And what I can do with that is by clicking that pin, I can actually pin this document to stay within my most recent drawing list here. So if it's a file I'm working on every day for quite some time, I can pin it in and I know it's always going to show up in this list. Okay. All right. So that is the menu browser. Coming across the top here, the Info Center, what this is a utility to allow you to query multiple help files simultaneously. So again, maybe I come in and I'll type in the word volume, click on the search button, and what it'll do then is it will search through all the various documents that are available for us for help. And right now I don't have mine configured because I crashed my machine last week and got it rebuilt. So it is showing me the Autodesk Online. What I can do is come in here to this button to go to Info Center Settings. And then I can tell it what search locations, and I can actually add a location. What I'll do is I'm going to browse to my Civil 3D help, and I can find it there's 2009, and alphabetical, go to help, and there's my I'm trying to figure out what my names are. There's our command reference. We'll add that one. Okay, so we've got that one, and let me add in the Civil 3D menu here as well. There it is. So Civil 3D, we'll add that one. All right, so now when I come in here and search on volume, what you'll see is I should now get more results here. So I now got volume from the AutoCAD command reference, so it found volume functionality for AutoCAD solids, and then, oh, I grabbed the root, so this one will take me, I grabbed the root one. But on here, anywhere you see these little back and forth arrows, it means there's more than 5 results, so I can click on that and I can page through all the different results here. And one of the things you'll see also as I hover on this, I get a little icon over here on the right. I can click on that and it'll add it to my favorites. So if I come over here to my favorites now, we'll see that that mask property option now shows up in my favorites. So let me close that and let me go back into my Info Center search. The thing I like about this is it not only searches my help documents, but it's actually going out and searching the Autodesk knowledge base, and I can click on one of these options here and it will take me directly to the Autodesk search website, and I can get the results directly from there. So this is kind of their way of providing real-time information beyond what was put in the help documents in your AutoCAD. So some real nice functionality here. Actually, we'll leave that open for now. All right, so that's using the search component. The other item on here is this communication center, and what it does is it looks at our subscription services and shows you all these different content. Training, e-learning is all accessible through here. They show you some of the default e-learning sessions that you can log into, articles and tips, and I don't recommend you watching these Techno Chronicles of Z. They're commercials for Z Corp 3D printers. They're kind of cheesy. It's a waste of time, so you might want to avoid watching those. Just because they pop up doesn't mean you should look at them. But you can get into our e-learning catalog from here, which will require you to log in, and I don't have time to log in right now, but you can create user accounts. It's all tied to our serial number, and you can get into the tutorials, and it's another great source for finding information about what's going in AutoCAD. All right, so that's enough on that one. Moving down now, we're going to take a look at what's called the ribbon, and hopefully you're all familiar with the ribbon bar in the Microsoft Office products in Word, Excel, and Access. And Autodesk, in their attempt to be Windows compliant, also has a ribbon bar. The only commands in here that you're going to find in the ribbon are AutoCAD functionality. There is not any ribbon panels, or there are not any ribbon panels created for Land, Desktop, or Civil 3D. We're going to have to wait for 2010 for that. Some of the ribbons are context sensitive, so if I select a table or M text, I will get some panels for tables and M text. All right, the way the ribbon is organized, we have our different palettes. They're controlled by the tabs, and within a palette you get the panels. All right, so let me come back into the home panel here. The way they've organized these is the main command buttons are available at the top of the panel, but they also have this little arrow button that you click on here that you can expand the panel to show additional commands within that panel. All right, I can pin that open, so as I move my cursor away and into my drawing, that panel stays open. I can also unpin it, so as I move away, it'll roll back up. All right. To control how much of the ribbon you see, there's this little button here on the far right side of the tabs where I can click on that, and that will minimize it, showing it just the headers or the tabs and the palettes. I can click it again to where it shows me just the tabs, and then I have to actually click on it to open it up, and then as soon as I move my cursor away it collapses, or I can click it again and I will have the full ribbon displayed. So depending on how you want to work, I will do some of my demo today and next week off the ribbon just because I like some of the functionality on that. It's definitely here to stay, and I think for 2010 it's going to be even a much better utility to work with, and eventually it'll replace toolbars and the pull down. It's kind of a combination of the two. All right, so let me jump back over to the home one. One other thing I want to point out while I'm here is if you leave your cursor on a button, you get what's called a tooltip, but if I leave it there long enough, it'll expand out and I will get what's called an expanded tooltip. So if I hover on my circle and leave it there long enough, it'll now show me, well, here's how you do a circle by center and radius. It'll show you your first pick and your second pick. Okay, you can control tooltips in your options dialog, and we can also have what's called an object tooltip. So if I leave my cursor on my line here in my drawing, we'll see it'll show me what color, layer, and line type that object is. And these are all controlled through the tooltips. And I'll come into options just real quickly to show you where that is set up on the display tab. So here's my tooltips. Here's where I can tell whether or not to show the extended tooltips. If they come up too quickly, you can set that to 5 or 10 seconds. And then the rollover tooltip is what I was getting in my drawing. I can turn those on and off as well. All right, so we'll kind of take a look at that. So kind of a quick tour here, tooltips. Looking at the ribbon, I want to now come down to the status bar. And what we've got going on here is they've changed the appearance. You no longer have the buttons with the words on it. You have little icons. And while you're learning, if you want to have the words again, you can right-click on any of the buttons here and tell it don't use icons, or turn off use icons, and now it looks just like we're used to in 2007. An object that is on will be displayed as blue. Ones that are off is gray. So if I turn on ortho, we'll see that that button now displays as blue. If I click it again, that'll turn it off. All right, I'm going to go back to the little icons here just because I'm trying to learn all my icons and they take up less space. All right. One other functionality they added on here to make it a little quicker to use is if I right-click on Object Snap, instead of having to go into settings to turn on and off what my running object snaps are, I can do it right off of this menu. And we'll see right now, because of this little blue box right here, I can see that the endpoint object snap is the only one that I have turned on. So maybe I want to use perpendicular as well. So I'll click on that one, and then we'll come back in and right-click on that. Now we'll see that both endpoint and perpendicular are toggled on, so I can quickly change what my running O-snaps are without having to go into the settings dialog here. Same thing with polar snaps. They're going to have your most common polar angles available right here on the menu without having to go into the settings option. Okay, a couple of new things they have in here. We're used to object snap tracking, UCS, dynamic input, line weights. We've got a new button here called Quick Properties. Okay, and that, let me turn that on. And what that does is, as I select a line here, I get a properties window pops up right near my crosshairs. This is called the Quick Properties, and there's only 2 or 3 things that I can change in here. So I can come in, I can maybe pick a different layer, change my line type, change my color, and it's all depending on the object I pick. So let me pick an arc. You can see I get properties for the arc. All right, so that way I don't have to have my large properties dialog floating around on my screen. We'll see as I click on something, I get just the shortened or abbreviated version, and I can keep my desktop a lot cleaner. Really the only settings I'd be concerned with on this thing is controlling where the location is. And right now the default is it'll locate it at your cursor. It'll be above and to the right. But you can also do a floating location. So let me turn that on, and again I'll pick an object. And with the floating location I can move it around, park it wherever I want it, and then as I select another object in my drawing, it will always pop up at that location. Okay, whereas when I did it off my cursor, it will pop up based on where my cursor is. Currently, we cannot configure these because of the way I've organized our CUI files, but let me know if you would like to add any property values to these quick property menus or these quick property dialogues, so that way we can improve the performance. If you always, if you're saying, I want to change the length, or I want to change the radius of an arc, it'd be nice to have the radius property in there. Let me know. That's something we can add to our CUIs, and then we can redistribute to everybody to improve some of this functionality. Okay, moving along now, we've got a couple other items on here. We've got some new buttons here called Quick View Layout and Quick View Drawings. Let me actually switch. Well, we'll do Quick View Drawings first. Let me click on that. And what it'll do is I get little thumbnails at the bottom of my screen showing me all my open drawings. So I want to switch to my layout drawing, and it'll actually show me all the layouts in that drawing. And I can say, well, I want to jump to this drawing and I want to jump to that layout. So we'll click on that, and it will switch me over to that drawing and provide me that layout. Okay, and as soon as I start working in my command, that will go away. All right, the Quick View Layout toolbar is the same thing, but it's only going to show me the layouts for my current drawing. And the idea behind this is we can turn off our layout tabs in our drawing and do it with just this Quick View Layouts on here. And I can actually pin this open, so that'll stay open. So as I'm working, I can leave it on my screen, and I can easily pick on different layouts to jump around in my drawing. The other thing you'll see on here is that as I hover on a layout with my cursor, I get two buttons. I can print this document or this layout, or I can go and I can use the publish command to publish that. So I've got the two commands here that I can interactively get back and forth. Then the other buttons on here, I can make a new layout, or I can publish and use that to get to and publish all my layouts. And then I can also close. Let me unpin, let me close, and I'll switch back to the Quick View Drawing command. All right, very similar to Quick View Drawing. The buttons I get here is I can save or close a drawing, or I can work my way up into the layouts. And in the individual layouts, again, I get the print and publish commands available to me right off of these icons. So I can jump into my model space here, or I can jump to model space for that one. It's just a nice functionality as you're working to get in and out of these. All right. Other things we'll look at, working our way across a couple of commands here. I'll look at, hopefully at the end, not likely, I think I'll do this next week, the steering wheel tool as a way to view our drawings. But what I want to look at also then is, we'll skip this one also. This is our annotation scale. I'll go over this next week when we do annotative text and dimensioning. But I want to finish off here showing you the workspace switching. We don't have a workspace toolbar now. What Autodesk has done is they've made it a button down here on the status bar, and I'll go ahead and click on that, and it's all the same functionality that you had on the workspace toolbar. So I can pick different workspaces. So I can say I want to go to my grading workspace for Civil 3D, and I get my grading menus and toolbars. And I can also save my workspace. So if you rearrange it however you want, you can save that. And then we can also customize, which will bring up the CUI command. So instead of having a toolbar with our workspaces, that's now done off the status bar down here with this little gear button. Okay. All right, let me move along here. Let me jump ahead. And we did quick properties, so let me do that. All right, so I'm going to jump in, and I want to probably finish off today. I think with layers is about all I have time. I got about 10 minutes left. We'll see if I can do layers and then also the XREF clipping here. So let me jump back into my AutoCAD, and I'm going to open up another drawing here. I've got one set up for manipulating layers here. All right, get that file open. This has some XREFs and loaded and a bunch of layers, so I can kind of play with some layer manipulation. First thing I'll point out on the layer command, and I'll do it off my toolbar here, it's called the Layer Properties. Layer Properties Manager is a couple things you'll see is that there are no longer any OK or Apply buttons here. And what it does is I can actually work in AutoCAD while my layer dialog is open, or my Layer Properties Manager tool space is open. It's kind of like the Properties toolbar or the XREF Manager in 2007, where it's open all the time. We have found a slight problem with this because our drawings will have lots of layers and get rather large. We have found that this actually slows AutoCAD down to leave it open, especially when you're working in paper space with viewports. It gets very sluggish. Most of the people who have been using 2009 for the past month have kind of learned that, yeah, it's neat to have this open all the time, but it does impact AutoCAD's performance. So most people are closing it down now when they're not using it. What I want to show is how it's kind of a real-time layer property change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess with my existing contours, and I've actually got some filters set up just so I don't have to go hunting through all my layers. The filters panel here I can actually minimize by clicking on that little arrow there to hide my filters, so I've got more room for layer names here. I can pop down this little button down here, and I can get to my filters this way. Or if I want my filter panel, I can click on the little arrow button to bring that back. So kind of neat way to minimize and maximize how much space you have available. The other thing you'll see on here is I've got this real solid line here after my layer name, and that's actually indicating that this column is frozen. So as I scroll back and forth, we'll see now that my layer name is still visible as I work across, whereas in 2007 you'd have to scrunch all your columns down and hide them to be able to see what you want. And I can turn that freezing on and off by right-clicking on my header and then telling it to unfreeze the column. And now we can see as I scroll back and forth that the whole table goes with it. Maybe I want to freeze it at this location, so I'll right-click on my freeze column, tell it to freeze that, and now as I scroll back and forth, you'll see that my layer name on and freeze columns, stay put, and everything else will scroll back and forth. So kind of nice way to make this a little easier to work with. What I want to do is let's go ahead and we'll turn off our minor contours, and what you'll see in the drawing is it's instamatic. That's camera instantaneous that I click the button, I get the effects in my drawing file. So I turn off my major contours, those also go away, and if I turn them on, they will change quickly. Same thing if I change the color, we'll maybe go yellow with those, and you'll see they are now yellow in my drawing. So it's automatic feedback here. So let me go back to, that was 21, not by layer. So I can set my colors to those different properties, and they are applied automatically to my drawing file. I no longer have to hit OK or apply to see my changes. All right. The other thing I want to show you in terms of layer properties now is I'm going to go into paper space, and I'm going to go into my viewports here. Let me scrunch this down just a little bit here. So I'm in this viewport here on the right. Okay, and what we'll see now in our layer properties, let me expand all of these values here. So I'm going to say maximize all columns, and that just makes it so I can read all the headers. And we'll scroll across now, and what we'll see that besides VP freeze and thaw, I can now set viewport color, viewport line type, viewport line weight, and if I scroll across, we also have viewport plot style if you're using name plot style. So this allows me to change properties, color and line type by viewport. Okay, so let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to take my minor contours, and we'll go ahead and click on that, and I'll say, come on, cursor. I have a hard time seeing this on my laptop, so we'll go blue, and we'll see that in that viewport, my contours are now blue, and we can also change our line type, maybe go hidden. That looks terrible. What's my viewport scale? Let me set LT scale to 1. There we go. Had wrong LT scale in there. So I can apply that line type and maybe change my major. We'll go green on that. Okay, I don't know. Do I have? Yes, I got majors green. And what you'll see now in the list here, as I pick on different layers, you'll see that the layers with property overrides are highlighted with blue. So we can see I've changed the colors. If I go look at the default properties, they are also highlighted. So these are the default properties, but they're not being used because we have those overrides applied. And you'll also see this icon next to the layer name indicating that they have layer overrides. All right, so let me pick in the viewport on the left, and you'll see this viewport does not have any overrides applied to those layers. So let me go ahead and pick both of those. Oops. I want both of those, and maybe we'll give them a different color. We'll go red, and different line type. And we'll go dot just to see the difference. All right, it's kind of meaningless in terms of drafting, but I can have those different displays. All right, to work with these or to clear these, let me go back to all now, and this is where these icons come in real handy. Let me scroll up to the top here. I can sort by status now, and all of my layers with property overrides will be highlighted. Okay, if I pick in this viewport, they'll change. To clear an override, what you do is in your layer dialog, I either right-click on the property I want to change. So maybe I want to get rid of this hidden override, so I'll right-click on the hidden, and I can remove overrides, and you'll see I have the option to remove the line type in the current viewport or all viewports, or I can remove all of the overrides for that layer. Okay, I'm going to do just the line type, so I'll say in the current viewport, and we'll see it's now removed the line type here. Or I can right-click on the color, go to remove, and we'd see do color, but I can say, well, let's remove that in all viewports. And what we'll see now is my existing minor contours are back to color 21 in both viewports. It's probably a little hard to see with that dotted line type. Okay, so back in here, so now we can see that removes all the overrides in this viewport. So let me come back to this viewport, and you would see I still have color and line type overrides. One of the things I can do, if I right-click over on the file name, I can now say just all the overrides for that layer. I can say all layers in all viewports, and that clears all the overrides and all the viewports in this drawing. So again, gives you some nice functionality instead of having to use multiple layers and multiple instances of objects to have different colors and different viewports. We can now do it with the viewport overrides. All right, a couple other things I want to show while I'm looking at layers. I'm going to come up here and click on this little wrench button. This brings up our layer settings, which is way off my screen over here. And with the layer settings, a couple of things you have now is we have what's called new layer notification. That'll actually let you know when a new layer has been added to your drawing or one of your XREFs, and it'll hopefully help us prevent the problem where we plot up a set of Mylars only later to realize that somebody added something to another one of the master files that we didn't want to show up. And the other thing I'll try to show you real quickly here is what's called layer isolate layer. When you lock layers, it'll actually fade them. Okay, so we're going to look at both of those real quick here. So let me come back into model space here. And what I'll do is I'll open up my PRMA drawing here. So we'll open that XREF. And we'll make a new layer. Try new button. There we go. My layer markup. And we'll set that one current. And we'll draw some stuff in here. So somebody comes in and puts stuff all over our drawing. Bad people. Let me close that. Let me save this, and then we'll close that down. And I'll come in, and I should get the blue notification that my XREF has changed. That's good. So we'll reload our XREF. But now we get a new notification that indicates that there are unreconciled layers. It recognizes that there are new layers in this drawing that we didn't know about. Okay, if I click on this here, it'll bring the reconciliation. I'm not going to. What I'm going to do also show is that there's a setting that when I try to plot, I will get an error message indicating, or a warning message indicating that, hey, there's unreconciled layers. Do you still want to plot or view the list? I'm going to go ahead and say no to that, and let me cancel my plot here. What I want to show is in my layer manager now, with the unreconciled layers, it creates a filter group called unreconciled layers, and it will show you, here's the layer I found that we didn't know about. So at this point I can pick and choose. Well, I can say, ooh, that's somebody's garbage. I want to freeze that, so I'll go ahead and freeze that. Then what I do, now that I've addressed it, I select all the ones I've addressed, I right-click on them, and we can tell it to reconcile. And that will now clear that filter group out. So now that layer's been dealt with, it's been reconciled, and that won't show up again the next time I do unreconciled layers. Okay, so that's kind of a neat functionality. And the last thing I'll do is we'll look at layer locking and layer filters here. So let me come into my Home tab, and we'll look at our layers. Let me go ahead and expand that, and we've got our layer fading here. I want to isolate some layers. So there's my layer isolate command, which is real nice. And I'm going to say isolate my curb gutter and sidewalk lines. All right. In 2007, we're used to layer isolate turns off all of the other layers. Well, in 2009, we've got an option to say when we lock, fade them, and when we isolate, use locking. So if I look at my layer dialog, we'll see that all of those layers have been locked as opposed to being turned off. Okay, and then we have this option here where I can adjust how much the fading is. So I can tone it way down where I can see it on my screen, but you probably can't see it very well through the GoToWebinar tool. But the nice thing about having them locked and faded is I can still do commands with my O snaps, and you'll see I can still snap to that geometry, whereas if I turned it off, I couldn't get to it. And when I'm ready to get back to my whole drawing, I can unlock it and they will return back to their full display mode. So that's real nice functionality there. All right, I'm going to go just one more second and I'm going to show XREF clipping, and then we'll be done and we'll get you guys on your way. So I'm going to do XClip, and I'm going to select my existing contour drawing, so it's my EXTO drawing, and I'm going to make a new boundary. And one of the things I want to point out, the new functionality here is this option here called Invert Clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do I for invert, and what it'll do is it'll clip inside my region as opposed to outside. So I'm going to do a polygonal region, and we'll just, let me turn off O snaps here, and I'm just going to eyeball quickly around my site here so I can be done. And that looks good. Hit enter, and it will clip now the XREF within the polygon. So I have to do that when I create the boundary. I can't change it afterwards. So if you want to go the other way, you got to delete the boundary and then apply a new boundary, but tell it to invert the clip. All right, that is everything that I had for today's session. Hopefully everybody saw something of use there. Again, next week we'll look at the 3D viewing, the action recorder, spend a bit of time on the annotative text and dimensions, mText, tables, and then if I have time we'll look at the PDF. You will receive, when you exit today, a poll which is very similar, or not a poll, a survey that is similar to the Nolte evaluation forms. Definitely looking for some good feedback on what you liked or didn't like, or what you'd like to learn more about. So thank you for calling in today. Hopefully it was of value to you, and I look forward to meeting up with you again next week. Thank you.